So in the Dharma talk for adults this morning, I'd like to talk about Obon and how the traditions that originated in Japan have evolved as it's gone overseas, and particularly here in Hawaii, and also to emphasize its meaning from a Buddhist perspective. So let's see if the video will play. So this is the awa odori, or the foam dance, which is a very, very popular and very famous Bon dance from Tokushima, Japan. The opening lines of the song can be translated as, some fools dance, some fools watch. We are all fools, so just dance. So as you saw in the video, the awa odori festival, the matsuri, is absolutely huge, with large groups and many, many large groups competing in a dance competition that culminates in a parade down the main street in Tokushima, the city of Tokushima. And women and men have different dance styles. I just showed the women dancing today. And also you can see that these are essentially professional dance troupes because they have matching outfits, matching costumes, matching things. The hat itself is very, very distinctive and unique to the awa odori in Tokushima. As many of you know, I grew up in Los Angeles, and I attended the Senshin Buddhist temple as a child and as a teenager and a young adult. And the awa odori was always the opening dance. And so when I came to Hawaii for the first time and went to a Bon dance, I was really surprised that nobody danced the awa odori. So it's kind of interesting that it's basically unknown here in Hawaii. So in Japan, Bon is more formally known as Obon, using the honorific O before Bon to reflect its significance in the Japanese tradition. And as you can see from the Tokushima awa odori video at the beginning, Bon Matsuri, or Bon Festival, is a huge commercial opportunity for advertisers and literally generates millions of dollars for the city of Tokushima. So the dancers are essentially professional dancers with specialized costumes and choreographed dance moves and their own troops of musicians and drummers. So most Bon dances in Japan are not for everyone to join in and dance, but actually to watch, which I thought was really interesting. Another tradition that we have at Obon is chochin, the lanterns, which traditionally for Obon they're lit, they're illuminated in the hope they will guide the returning spirits of one's ancestors back home for the Obon festivities. So the chochin lanterns are a welcome for the spirits of one's ancestors and saying, please come home, please come home. Chochin lanterns are part of all Japanese festivals during the summer months, not just Obon. And so these photos are actually from the famous Gion Matsuri in Kyoto, which happens during the summer. And so you can see that this is where the tradition of lighting the lanterns, lighting the chochin lanterns for Obon, this is where it comes from. And the idea that the spirits of one's ancestors can return once a year to this world has its origins in Chinese Confucian tradition, which came to Japan and then became adopted as a tradition in Japan. So Obon in this sense is almost identical to the Mexican tradition of El Dia de Muertos, or the Day of the Dead. So if you saw the animated movie Coco, you are very familiar with this Mexican tradition. And it's actually very, very similar to Halloween as well. The origin of Halloween is that it was thought that the spirits of our ancestors, the spirits of the dead, can come from the other world to this world once a year, and so we wear costumes so that we can, we can fit in and we don't get taken away by the spirits. So toro nagashi, or floating lanterns, these are lanterns which are lit and then floated down the rivers or out to sea in the hope that they will guide the spirits of one's ancestors back to the other world at the end of the Obon festivities. So this Japanese tradition is the origin of the very famous floating lantern festival in Honolulu. So toro nagashi, can be interpreted to mean, we love you, spirits of our ancestors, but please go home. Please go home. Follow lanterns and go home. So Hawaii has its own unique spin on Obon. Mimi and I were shocked to discover that going bon dance is a huge thing for all locals, for everybody, not just Japanese or Japanese Americans. And a bon dance, so going to a bon dance means many different things to different people. So for example, eating food, especially world famous Makwa Honganji Chow Fun, and July 18th is your last chance to place an order for pickup on the 25th, so I'd encourage everyone to do it this week. Yeah, eating foods, and I was amazed to discover that each temple, each island in fact, has its own unique food. I had never heard of flying saucers except for, those mysterious things that fly through the sky. But on Maui, if you don't eat a flying saucer, it's not Obon. On Maui, right, Chow Fun. Mimi and I had never heard of Chow Fun before. It's like, what's Chow Fun? And everyone looks at us like we're kind of like, strange. But to discover that every Honganji temple in Maui, on Maui, has its own version of Chow Fun, and each temple does insist that theirs is the best. So I insist that Makwa Honganji Chow Fun is the best. So you have to give it a try and let me know. It's of course about dancing. It's about talking story with your old friends. Everyone goes to the bon dance because you will run into the person you went to in high school, the person you were sitting next to, in high school. You can make new friends. You can meet people from around the world. The bon dances attract people from the other islands of Hawaii, from the mainland, from Japan, from other countries. If you come to Hawaii during the summer, you definitely have to go see a bon dance. Or for some people, Obon means working your okole off in the kitchen, or setting up or cleaning up for Obon. It is a huge endeavor that requires literally hundreds of hands, and a lot of people are working really hard during the bon dance, in the kitchen, cleaning up, setting up. The DJ who plays all the music, the dancers, the drummers. Speaking of drummers, and of course, it's not a bon dance unless you have taiko. And these are the amazing young people of the Zenshin Daiko group, which is, based here in Maui and always plays for us during our in-person Obon, which of course we're not able to do this year. But I was absolutely amazed to see how talented these young people are. And don't forget, Obon is the one time a year you get to see Floyd doing his thing on the Matsuri Daiko, playing the taiko along with the music. Now Mimi loves to dance Obon, to bon dance the night away. I'm going to see if the video will turn on. So that was Mimi dancing at the Waipahu Honganji Obon about 5 years ago. So again, Mimi loves to bon dance the night away. And I'm more of a watch the other people dancing kind of guy. Our granddaughter, Melody, who I think she's watching, hi Melody, she loves to dance, and she loves to eat bon dance food, and she loves to play bon dance games, especially when Grandpa is paying the money. Now, as a minister, I'm pretty busy during the bon dance season, and I'm often feeling tired when we visit bon dances at other temples, which is my excuse for not dancing. Actually, the truth, when I really look at myself, I'm very vain about how I appear, how other people see me. And my personality is such, is that I need to dance every dance perfectly so that I look really good, or I'm not happy, which is pretty silly when you think about it. In Jodo Shinshu Buddhism, Obon is more formally known as kangi-e, the gathering of joy. So, as Jodo Shinshu Buddhists, we don't literally believe in the spirits of our ancestors coming back during Obon. We also don't believe that we need to have, special services or make offerings or light lanterns to appease the spirits of our ancestors, or to chant the sutras or offer a prayer for the repose of our ancestors. So, in other words, nothing bad will happen to the spirits of your ancestors, and you personally won't get bachi. Something bad's not going to happen to you if you don't do certain rituals. That would be superstition, and Jodo Shinshu, rejects superstition. So you don't have to worry about that kind of stuff if you're a Jodo Shinshu Buddhist. Reverend Alan Udasaki, who was our guest speaker at Hatsubon last year, reminds us that for Jodo Shinshu Buddhists, Obon is a time to remember, to reflect, and rededicate. So we remember our departed loved ones, right? We remember our debt of gratitude to our ancestors, without whom we wouldn't be here. And we would not be able to share this special Sangha community here at this wonderful temple. So many people have gone before us who built this temple, who made sure that it would survive, and then built all of these traditions. I have no idea who the first person, was to make Chao Fan, but he or she, hopefully would be recognized as creating something which has lasted for many, many decades. Obon is a time that we can reflect on the continued influence of our departed loved ones upon our lives. I remember my father, my grandmother, my grandfather, my uncles, who weren't big dancers in that sense, but they were always incredibly busy during the Obon season, particularly at the temple that we went to, at Senshin Buddhist Temple. There's just so many people who work so hard to make Obon happen. And I think this year, when we reflect upon the fact that we don't have Obon, we're not going to have Obon dance here at Mankwa Honganji this year. It's a time to reflect upon how much the people who have gone before us, they still influence our lives today. So whether it's your grandmother or grandfather or your uncles and aunties, perhaps your mother and father, who, when you take a moment to think about it, they still influence your life today. They still guide you today. And Obon is a time that we can rededicate ourselves to living this unrepeatable life to the fullest, in such a way that it honors the memory of our departed loved ones and our ancestors. So Obon is a time to remember, reflect, and rededicate. Shinran, oops, where are we? It keeps going ahead all by itself. Okay, so Shinran Shonin quotes his great teacher Honen as saying, "Persons of the Pure Land tradition attain birth in the Pure Land by becoming their foolish selves." Namo Amida Butsu. So attaining birth in the Pure Land, our ultimate enlightenment and becoming Buddha, is through the other power of Amida working in our lives. So becoming our foolish selves is an interesting phrase in the English translation, that it means by being our authentic selves, by being who we really are, without any pretense, without putting on airs, without pretending to be good or competent or virtuous, just being who we are and recognizing that we are egocentric human beings, just simple fools bumbling through life. So the all-embracing compassion of Amida Buddha is such that when we become our foolish selves, we embrace our true human nature, and by being authentic, this is the moment that we realize without doubt that we are embraced by Amida in this life, and thus our birth in the Pure Land is assured after we leave this world. And this is the joy of Shinjin. This is known in Japanese. I'm not sure why it keeps doing that. This is known in Japanese, in Jodo Shinshu tradition, as Shinjin Kangi. So the joy of Shinjin. This is when we realize that we're already embraced by Amida's compassion just as we are, and just by truly accepting that we are the foolish ones, and just by living authentically as our foolish selves, that we are free to live this unrepeatable life just as we are. So, Obon, or kangi-e, the gathering of joy, means simply that we stop running away from our true selves. We become our foolish selves. We are free to express the joy of Shinjin by dancing, eating, talking story, working hard, or doing nothing in joy. And this sense of joy, this awakening to reality as it is the reason that we celebrate Obon in gratitude for our departed loved ones, ancestors, family, friends, and community. So the truth of impermanence, COVID-19 has killed more than 564,000 people around the world, and it's caused immeasurable suffering for millions of people. COVID-19 has taken away the things that we took for granted, the simple joy of a carefree summer filled with bon dances. But the truth of impermanence applies to COVID-19 as well. This public health emergency will not last forever. And so, COVID-19 is a timely reminder that we must not take for granted the love and support of family, friends, and community, right here, right now, in this moment of this unrepeatable life. Okay, I hope it doesn't do that the whole time. So we must live our lives to honor the memory of our departed loved ones and ancestors, and we can do our part by helping to protect others during this public health emergency. We can smile kindly and speak gently. We can reach out and reconnect with family, friends, and community. And we can bon dance like a dancing fool when no one is watching, or when everyone is watching. So persons of the Pure Land tradition attain birth in the Pure Land by becoming their foolish selves. The words of Honen Shonin. Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu. Namman.